Good morning. This is Tricia Lehan, your state president of Women's Council of Realtors for the state of Arizona. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here this morning to welcome you, and thank you so much, all of you, for joining us on this journey of 4 weeks to greatness. I hope you all realize what a valuable asset this is to have the opportunity of having Sandy Krestan of Prospect Mortgage leading us. So please spread the word. I've got a little slide at the end. Please make sure you tell everybody how fabulous Women's Council of Realtors is, because we don't want to be the best kept secret in the state of Arizona anymore. We want everybody to know how terrific we are. So, and there's 9 chapters throughout the state. So please encourage people to get involved in Women's Council. Can I talk about Renew now, Kelly?
Yes.
Well, I hope you've all registered. We have our large educational event tomorrow, Renew. We have Todd Talbot we're bringing in from Vancouver, British Columbia. He's Love It or List It too. We have Evan Fuchs, our past AAR state president. And then we have an amazing panel, including our own Sandy Krestan, who's here with us this morning. And it's going to be led by Bill Risser of Chicago Title. We have 2 actual scenarios of people presenting actual properties and how they fixed and flipped, and that's Isaac Kahn and the Rafter House. We have social media being brought to us by the Blogettes, and we also have a fabulous photographer, Ace and Wim. And so this is a great opportunity. It's so different, everybody, than what you've seen being offered through any other venue opportunity this year. Women's Council members have a rate of $50, and that includes a little happy hour at the end of the day. So please come out and join us. Registration is up on your screen right now, so please do register. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Callie from AAR, she's been such a gift to us. Thank you for helping us make this happen. And Sandy Krestan, thank you. I know you've helped a lot of people grow a lot over the last 4 weeks.
You are so welcome.
All right, so we are ready to kick off.
Absolutely.
All right, and we are going on week 4.
I know, kind of hard to believe it. Time flies when you're having fun and changing the world and changing yourself. So we are in week 4. Just want to give a quick thank you to Tricia. Thank you again. Appreciate you. So guys, so here we are. It's been 3 full weeks. We've heard some things that we maybe weren't used to hearing before, and we got outside of our comfort zone. And honestly, that's where real change happens, is when we get outside of what we are used to. And I know it hurts. I know it's a little uncomfortable. I feel that way all the time myself, but I just wanted to let you know that's what real change happens. And keep in mind, we had a mastermind group. We get together once a month, and I love this quote. I don't remember who said it there, but they said, you know what, Sandy, sometimes more is not more. And I thought, you know what, that's so true, because sometimes more is actually less. And we need to be doing less things, but maybe more deeper than we've ever done that before. And so I know the biggest thing that ends up getting in our way is us in this whole change thing and having the best life ever and having the best business ever. So I just want to challenge you guys. Sometimes to do more, you have to focus on less. And if we're going to focus on less, I'm going to encourage you to focus on the things that we've talked about in the last 3 weeks and today, because this is what I know. I know it works. I know it doesn't mean that you have to do more bad things. What it does mean is you have to do less of what you're probably doing now, because those things are sucking the life out of you and out of your calendar. So we'll need to work on focus. So let's talk a little bit how the homework went over the last 7 days, right? It's a little uncomfortable. How did the grading of your database go? Remember, give your best to your best. So shoot us some comments. Give me an amen if you feel good about what you're doing so far. Give me what your biggest challenge has been to helping this work. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're having a challenge with implementing this, there's like 10 other people on this call that won't raise their hand, but they're going to be having the exact same challenge as you. And how do I know this? It's probably because I had that exact same challenge myself. So type in from each of you guys, I want to know what's your biggest challenge this week to implementing one of these ideas to help grow your business. You don't have to give me 24, just one. What's your biggest challenge for you in your life and for your business for implementing it this week? So make sure you share one because then we will make sure to hit that as well. So last week we talked about the handwritten notes. Anybody write a handwritten note? I got a couple in the mail from folks, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I love handwritten notes. I get a little warm and fuzzy each time I get them, and considering that I write between 8 to 10 a day, it actually makes me still get warm and fuzzy when I get them. So I know if I'm getting warm and fuzzy, everybody that is getting my handwritten notes is warm and fuzzy as well.
Well, it looks like we have a couple of attendees today that say they did like 10
Awesome.
notes. So that's a great starting place.
You know what? So here's my thing, right? It's not about perfection. It's about direction. So I don't care that it's 1 or 2 and 10 is awesome. It's about starting the new habits. And because until we start, it's just a good idea. And a good idea isn't going to help you get anywhere that you want to go. So thank you for sharing. I love handwritten notes. It's one of my favorite things to do. I did 10 or 11 more over the weekend and dropped them off in the mailbox this morning on the way to the office. So absolutely. And if you got the homework reminder, you got to see a little picture of my little cheat on my desk at my home office and at my work office where I keep everything in one place, which makes it way easier for me to be able to get my handwritten notes out. So let's go ahead while you guys still do some comments and let's get started. So we'll pass this one. Remember, I mean, I know I say this every week to you guys, and I think it's because there must be a reason. Be patient with yourself, right? I'm on this new change of eating habit. And so I'm having to be very patient with myself, remembering that although I might cheat, I'm not going to lose my whole day. I'm not going to lose my whole week and start over. I've got to just be able to reset my attitude and reset my activities to keep me focused and on my way. Because, you know, Gary Keller says 66 times for a habit. As depressing as that sounds as I say it, since I'm only like 37 days into changing my eating habits, it's true. Change is hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it and everyone would be a Michael Jordan or whoever else in the sport world, right? Change is hard. So keep that in mind. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with the people around you. Be responsible and be helpful. Because honestly, when people start seeing people do things differently and start having success, Michael calls it success suicide. You'll start being at the water cooler and people will say, well, you can't do that. Or that's never worked. Well, you know what? It's never worked for them. And don't let them rain on your parade. You be your own sunshine. So make sure you're patient and fill up yourself with good stuff, and make sure you've gotten the book and reread it, because you will get refreshed, refueled, and renewed each time you read the book. I don't even know how many times I've read the book now. I mean, probably literally like 70 times. I've had to go buy a second one because my first one was so torn and tattered. So let's talk a little bit about your mindset, your minutes, your mentors, and your map. So we've talked about your mindset a lot, right? I am a master implementer. We've talked about a little bit about your minutes and your calendar, and we've talked about your accountability partner, and you are who you surround yourself with. So take that in for a second. And this could be somebody's reflection moment to say, geez, I need to get rid of some people that I'm surrounding myself with because they are just not good for me. I have a hard time with this because I want to be a giver and I want to help, but sometimes you cannot help at a detriment to yourself. And I know that sounds maybe a little harsh, but you have to be strong, and change is hard, and you have to watch who you're surrounding yourself with. So make sure you get like-minded people around you, for people that will lift you up instead of bringing you down. And we're going to talk about the MAP big time today. So let's go dive into it. You are a referral generating machine, y'all. And the fact that you're still here in week 4, you are growing into be the master implementers that you've always wanted to be. Change is hard. Let it go. It's not going to be easy. So this is a sample of the time blocking. We sent this tool out to you last week. I wanted to just refresh your mind and say there's the things that are important. It's your first and 10 phone calls. Remember, those are the people that you're following up with, responding to a request from you, or you go do a home inspection and you've got to call the next day and follow up on the report. Those are people you owe the phone calls to. Your hour of power time, we talked about that, and I'm going to refresh your memory today because it's a big point. Those are your intentional connecting time with your ambassadors, your champions, and your friend and family. Why are they intentionally connecting with your ambassadors and your champions? Because those are the people that are going to grow your business and give you the best business ever. Remember, give your best to your best. When your yeses get stronger and your no's get in cement and not in sand, you will find you spend more time with your best people. So here's a perfect example. I did this with an agent, Jiminy Crickets. I think it was probably about 6 months ago. And we went and looked at a calendar for 2 weeks because her big thing was, and if you guys are nodding, as soon as I say this, I know you are, even though I don't have a video camera on you, you're saying, Sandy, I don't have enough time now to do what I have to do. How do I do all this and I don't have time now? Right? Amen. Yes. Give me something, brother, sister out there in the 4 weeks of greatness world. And so what I want to challenge you to is what you're saying yes to and putting in your calendar. So when I did this activity with an agent that I work with, we looked at the calendar and I said, okay, you're having happy hour with this person. Are they an ambassador? Because it was at 4 o'clock. And she said, no. I said, well, you're going to get on the phone right now and cancel it. Your ambassadors are who you spend your time with. Your ambassadors and your champions. So be very careful who you say yes to in your work calendar. Be very careful with your yeses. So it's really meant to show you, you see that real estate time on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday and Friday. I don't even have it there on Saturday and Sunday. That's a lot of green money-making time for you to go after your buyers and your listings. So here's a quick refresher on what it looks like to work with your community. So we went over this last week, and here's the absolute biggest takeaway is you don't have to spend 10 hours a week calling your best people. You're going to spend, depending on how big your database is, anywhere from calling 6 to 10 people every hour to connect intentionally, to get caught up on life. And that will get you through your entire database. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, Sandy, but I have 3,000 people in my database. But remember, we're not connecting with just anybody. We're connecting with your best. And while people are unequal, their value in life is unequal to your business, you've got to make sure you give your best to your best. So let's look at the next slide. So we're going to look at, actually, let's go another one ahead. So this is a quick thing I jotted down, and I wanted to kind of give you an idea of how this works. So you have your ambassadors. Let's do a nice, easy thing and say you have 5 people that are ambassadors to your business. And then just a refresher, an ambassador is somebody who refers you multiple times a year. And now remember, refers doesn't mean close. It's your job to close it. It's their job to refer it. So if we had 5 people that you classify as an ambassador, and we want to talk to them 1 time a month according to Michael's communication plan, we have 5 times 12 is 60. That means in a year, we have 200 hours of time to connect with our favorite people. 200. I mean, that's a lot of time spread over 12 months, right? You can do this. I know you could. That means every hour of power, if we divide 60 into 200, That is approximately 0.6 of a person, I think, which I don't know, 0.6 of a person. So every hour of power, if you only talk to one of your ambassadors, you're going to get to talk to them one time a month, every month, intentional, and you don't forget about it. Now remember, your ambassadors are your smallest groups. Your next group is your champion, and those are going to be a bigger group of people, right? I mean, if you had 5 ambassadors, you're probably going to have 30 champions, people who really like you. They're probably not going to, stalk down somebody to refer to you, but when they hear somebody talking about real estate, they know you are their gal or guy. And so if we have 30 people that we talk to 4 times a year, that's 120 phone calls. And we have 200 hours to make those 120 phone calls. So that is just another person. So in 1 hour of power, if you talk to one ambassador and one champion, you're going to talk to them intentionally around business and have a great business. Now there's your friends and family, right? You remember my sister Pam. She's really not the referring type. I love her to death. She's a great gal. But you probably have 300 friends and family, right? They're not going to build your business into this mega business, but they like you, they trust you, and they will use you. So if we had 300 people time one phone call a year, that means we'd have 300 people to contact over a year into 200 hours. That means we're about 1.3 or so, I'm going to guess off the top of my head. 1.5. I was off a little bit. Miss Callie is holding me accountable. So I don't have 1.5 people. Well, honestly, I probably do, but that's like another story, and we're not going to talk about that here. So if you spend every hour of power just talking to one ambassador, one champion, and 2 friends and family, you're going to stay in touch with your best people intentional. So I don't know, that's 4 people in an hour. So even if you have a cousin that is Chatty Cathy or anything like that, you can still talk to people in that hour. So what if it's more like my database? I have to talk to 10 people every hour of power. And you guys have probably already figured this out, but I could probably talk to a doorknob or a microphone or a PowerPoint screen. So if I have 10 people in an hour, I could run into a challenge of going longer than 6 minutes on every single call. So this is my little tip for you on this. I put my stopwatch on my phone, and when I start getting close to that 6-minute mark and I'm on with my ambassador and I haven't seen them one time this month or in the last couple months, I'm getting them in my calendar, and this is what I'm saying. Hey, before we hang up, because I do have another call that I have to get on with a client, I would love to get a lunch scheduled. Are you available next Wednesday? And they say yes or no, or the Wednesday after, they say yes or no. Yes, great. I'm going to shoot you an email with where we're going to meet. It's going to have directions. And then just so you know, I have another client coming in at 1 o'clock, so I totally respect your schedule. We'll be done at 1. I so appreciate it and look forward to seeing you there. And then that's your way to end the phone call. And you do the exact same thing with champions. So another tip for you is if you have a lot of people to call every single hour of power, if you do nothing other than talk to your ambassadors and champions, you win. Don't call friends and family first, right? What's our motto? Give your best to your best. So your best are your ambassadors, call them first, then call your champions. And if you get into pickle with your time schedule, this is when you're allowed to slide dial your friends and family and leave them this message. Hey, Susie, it's Sandy Krestan. Oh, geez, I don't know how it's happened. We haven't talked in a long time. Just wanted to call and check up, see how things are going. It's not an emergency. But if you need anything, know I'm always here to help. And of course, if you need help with mortgages, I'm your girl. Just give me a call and then leave your phone number. Short, simple, no real call to action other than if they need help with, i.e. real estate or mortgages, whatever it is that you do. Okay, now the other big group you have when you graded your database was those potential champions. Remember, those are the folks you go, I'm not too sure how they feel about me. We're going to take a look at getting them all graded, really graded, because this is a B potential is only a temporary grade. And so how did you grade it? For sure, you sent out the guaranteed response email. They called back. You let it go to voicemail, and when you called them back, you caught up on life. Remember FROG, family, recreation, occupation, goals. And then you closed with, hey, before we hang up, I've got a quick business question for you. If you had a friend or a neighbor looking to buy or sell a home, who would you recommend they call first? And then you find out what they really think of you. I know, get over it. Some of them aren't going to say you. You have the 4 scripts, use it. And then try to burn and churn through those people in a 90-day period. If you don't have a lot of them, don't spread them over 90 days. Don't take the easy way out. Do it over 30 days. Figure out who they are. And remember, we're grading off of potential sometimes. Awesome. Well, that's a quick refresh. So what do we need to do? We need to get it into our calendar, right? So let's go in advance. So what we want to remember is on Ambassadors and Champions, we want to absolutely connect with them live. Do not hide behind email. Do not hide behind slide dial. You want to get these folks live. So there's a reminder of our script. Hopefully you've been practicing it and doing that. So awesome. Here we go. Here is our 7 levels of communication pyramid. Remember, spend your time in your influential zone. So growing your community from the inside out rather than the outside in. Grow who you know best. So we're going to market. You market to somebody, but you actually communicate with your best, right? So we don't want to do stranger danger advertising. We want to connect intentionally with our best. So we have the who, right? You've graded your database. We know how we need to contact them. That's Michael's communication plan we talked about last week. Once a month phone calls for our ambassadors. We want to get toe-to-toe, face-to-face with them because that's when you're best. Now what are we going to do? So your goal is actually to stay constantly in touch with your community and be that influencer connector that you guys all know that you are. So remember, it's not called a database anymore. It's called your community. Sounds so much better, doesn't it? It's like flows off the tongue. Okay, let's roll. So remember, never forget that it's people that buy, and nothing happens until a person says yes, and no one says yes until they trust you, right? They have to know, like, and trust you. I don't know this for you guys, but for me, it is huge in saying, this is the largest asset and the largest debt of most people's lives, unless they're physicians with medical school debt, right? This is their largest asset. They have to know that you're a full-time professional taking it seriously. And it's the same thing with me with their largest debt. And so you've got to know what your standard is for making sure that you're staying in touch with everybody. Okay, so this is Michael's intentional communication plan. And Callie and I and Trisha had our mojo going this morning because we got you your homework reminders before even today. Can we hear a woo woo? Yep, that's right, we did it. We're just rock stars, and it's Monday, and it was a long weekend, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So this is Michael's communication plan. And honestly, remember, keep it simple. If you don't have an assistant, you are your assistant, so keep it simple. But what I'd love for you guys to do, remember, you're supposed to create that folder with all this great information that we're sharing with you. So maybe when you have an assistant, you could then kick it up another level in doing what you do for your communication plan. So friends and family get 1 call scheduled out every year. Why is it scheduled out? I love you, remember? My husband was a realtor. My best friend back in Chicago is a realtor. My favorite people in the world are realtors. But if it's like not in your schedule, we're not going to do it. So we want a one-time connect intentionally around business. Of course, they're going to get an e-update from you because remember, everyone gets the free email. That's not sarcasm, is it? And then you also need to get some kind of quarterly newsletter, monthly newsletter, or tell your success stories. And so really important in a success story, that's somebody talking about you. It's not you puking on somebody about how great you are, right? No one wants to hear it from you. They want to hear it from somebody that you've helped and served. So your D's, right, they don't get the best of you. They get the free email. That's it. Let it go. That's okay until they call you about a referral, free email. So next thing we do is we go to the bottom and we go to your potential champions. Well, we really don't have to worry about them because you need to just get them gone out of your database by doing your guaranteed response email. So your champions, right? Not your top, but getting close. Of course, they get everything else that the D gets. They get the free email. Absolutely. We're going to make sure we get them a quarterly phone call. We're also going to do some kind of one-on-one with them, and maybe you do an audiobook. I'm a huge reader, right? I just ordered 3 new books this weekend on leadership. Maybe you have people that are your champions that are also leaders in their home or leaders in what they do, and you get a great book, and maybe you share those great books with them. So let's go back to that. Remember that very first time we were together and we talked about the concierge form. And so here's what's great about that form. You'll know whether they're a book reader because they'll tell you on there. This is a little lesson I learned from Michael J Maher. Do not send them a hardcover paper book if all they do is listen to audiobooks. So if you're going to take the time and share a book with them, do the conversation. Hey, by the way, I just read this book. It's so awesome. I think you might enjoy it. I was just wondering, would you prefer to read on Car College on CDs, or do you like actually touching paper and reading the book? Find out, make a note out of it, and then send the way they like. Because if you send somebody a paper book that only listens in their car, you have just wasted $20 on that book because they'll never crack it open. Right? Done. Birthday cards, huge. Handwrite a personal birthday card. Think about how many cards you get on your birthday. You really are talking about the inner circle of a couple, maybe one hand. Maybe you're super popular like Callie. She probably gets 2 handfuls of birthday cards. Your anniversary card if they're married. Hey, how about the anniversary of when they purchased the house, right? That's awesome. I have a friend of mine that does mortgages up in Boulder, and she sends a $1 scratch-off ticket with the birthday card. I love it, right? And write your little message in. By the way, if you win, you're going to split, right? And give them a little giggle on their birthday. I love that. And then let's talk about spending some face-to-face time with your champions. And this is some of Michael's ideas that he does. He does his client appreciation events. He does a meeting at Starbucks where he blasts that out to his community. And he does it in a couple parts of town and say, hey, I'm going to be here, would love to buy you a coffee, right? And then he sends them a postcard invitation, where, when, and the time, and does that. He also does a barbecue cookout. Now, I don't know, July 4th would be a great time out here to do a barbecue cook-off because we would melt, unless you wanted to lose 10 pounds in a weekend from sweating. So maybe you do something like he does in November with a pie. You could do a pumpkin, an apple pie, pick from these 2 pies. Thank you so much. But don't freak out about the cost because remember, we're not doing this for everybody. We're just doing this for your ambassadors and your champions. So the fewer giving more to, right? And then you could do a Christmas tree gift, or I used to love to do Harry and David's fresh wreaths for the front door at Christmas time. Oh my gosh, it was so great and wonderful. And it's a great way for you to connect with folks and have them come to you and pick it up, or schedule time to go do one-on-one time. I always wanted to do a pumpkin patch. I think it would be so much fun here in October to do pumpkins, pretty good sized pumpkins for my favorite people, have the bales of hay, have somebody come and do a photographer and do a family photo for them. Kind of fun to send out in November instead of, with the Christmas card idea. And then absolutely bar none, if you are an agent, you should get everyone set up on a home seller's report. I have access to that if you don't have anything that does that for your business. Every single person in your database needs to know what the value of their home is estimated at. And I know they talk to their neighbors, and I don't know if you know this, but sometimes people lie about what they sold their house for because most people won't go and look it up. So get them signed up for a home sellers report for sure.
Sandy, can you just touch on who are you inviting to these events? There's a couple of questions that our
Sure.
attendees have asked. They're
Okay.
concerned about cost. Who are you inviting to the pumpkin patch?
So the only people coming to the pumpkin patch are going to be, at first, my ambassadors. So look and see how many ambassadors you have. So I have probably 30 ambassadors to my business. Now, if I'm going to go through ordering pumpkins and having apple cider there and some cookies and maybe do some little face painting for the kiddos, I want to do it for more than 30 people because honestly, pumpkins aren't that much. So what I would then do is say, how big do I want it to be? I'm going to want it to be more than that 30. So I'm going to then go take a look at my champions. And so if you have 300 champions and you go 300 times $3 or $4 pumpkin, that's more than I want to spend, then I'm going to go look at my champions list and I'm going to say, who's referred me in the last year? And that's where I'll whittle the list down. But you absolutely want to remember, it's never more than your ambassadors and champions because we give our best to our best, whether it's your time or your money. Does that make sense? So give me a yes if I've answered your question, please, because this is huge. So one of the places, like, let's talk about the pumpkin patch. So depending on where your office is, I've got a friend of mine, I love Portia Knoll. She's a great mortgage banker. If you ever need somebody up in Boulder, Colorado, she's like one of the #1 lenders in the country in Boulder, and she's a rock star. So they have access to an actual farm where there's a pumpkin patch. Now, I don't have access to a farm, right, that I know of, unless one of you guys have a farm and you want to let me know and connect with me, and I'll do it at a farm. If I was going to do it, I would do it at my office, and it would be a Saturday or a Sunday when the parking lot is 99% empty, and I would get some bales of hay delivered. I'd have tablecloths with the red, white checkered tablecloths. There we go. Sorry, I crack myself up sometimes. So I would have tables with the tablecloth. I would have bales of hay. I would have some stalks. I would have cookies. I'd have apple cider. I'd have, well, it's warm here, so I wouldn't do probably hot chocolate. I would have some cookies. I love the idea of doing a nice fall family photo. I think it's a great way to pull more of your ambassadors and your champions in, and then that way you have another reason to get with them, to give them an 8x10 photo, which is super cheap to print, so let's not go crazy. And I would invite them to come pick up their pumpkin, have them shoot an RSVP that yes, they're coming. That way you order enough pumpkins. So you're paying $2 or $3 for a pumpkin. You have some apple cider, some cookies, and if you really want to go big, make Nestle Toll House cookies by hand and ask me to make them for you because I make them wonderful. They're the best cookies ever. And it's not a big deal because remember, you're not inviting 1,000 people. You're inviting your ambassadors and your champions. But really, agents, think about your lender partner, if it's me, and saying, hey, Sandy, would love for you to commingle with me at this event. Can you help me cover part of the costs? You'll be there to connect with my favorite people because I love you. And that way you have more people talking about how great you are, right? Same thing with the pie. Don't just order pies. Have them reserve a pie and then schedule a time to connect with them so you get the face-to-face. Because if they just come pick up a pie and they eat it and it's gone, they have to connect with you. I just ordered this morning. They're mocking up it for me. I love doing fun little giveaways that keep me in front of my clients, right? So the pumpkin is consumable. Well, it dies. It doesn't die, technically. It waters down until it's squished on your front patio, right? The pie is eaten. I'm getting ready to order the flexible cutting boards, right? With my branding on it. One of the best things I ever did in my business was a jar opener. I have my branding on the jar opener. I have clients still go, hey, Sandy, it's probably 10 years later. Do you have any more of those left, right? So if you're going to do some of the stuff to your best, I'm not freaking out that each of the cutting boards is $2 because I'm only sending it to my ambassadors, my champions, or my potential ambassadors, right? Give my best to my best, which means you're giving more, but to fewer. And that's where the magic really happens. So hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, put a message in there and we'll make sure we hit that next. So now it's your ambassadors, right? I mean, these are the people that they get everything that everybody else gets, but they get more of you, right? You're on the phone with them every single month, and it's not about selling, it's about connecting. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Hey, did you, because you know they're big golfers because they filled out your concierge form, right? So, hey, oh my gosh, I didn't know if you knew this, but I just got a Groupon for the boulders. Did you happen to see it? Oh, you didn't? Oh, let me get it over to you, right? You're just so into them. It's great. You want to try to get with them face to face as much as possible. Now, maybe that is a quarterly one-on-one. Maybe it's out having lunch. Maybe it's at one of these events that you have. Maybe it's your April coffee, your February, love you kind of thing that you want to get together, maybe for a Valentine's Day, you're the best, I love you kind of event. You'll get them to those. But then think about this. Two things. One, think about setting them up on Google Alerts. And I sent you the cheat sheet for this. Google Alert is you inputting them one time, and automatically when there's anything out there on the internet about them, it automatically gets emailed to you in your inbox. Because this is what we know. If I had to do a lookup every day on my best people, I would never do it because I'm a salesperson and well, I stink at that. Google Alert, you do it one time and then it's in your inbox. It's the best thing ever. You have somebody that works for a big company, put the name of the company in there. That way when things are happening with the company that they work for, you know about it, right?
Sandy, we've got quite a few people who are asking about the F-bomb.
Hey, now all of you must have dirty minds. Now, do you really think I would put something horrible in there? Right? Okay, I'm going to talk to you about the F-bomb in a second, right? So your F-bomb. All right, let me get back before I forget. The other thing I wanted to do after the Google Alerts was inviting them to your Board of Ambassadors meeting. So this is what I know. If I'm going to be the best, I need the input and feedback from my best. So one time a year, you should invite your top 5 referral sources, whoever they are, assuming they're local. They could be out of state, right? Because everyone wants to live here, especially as we start to get into September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Not that there's a lot of months or anything, but you need to pull them together saying, what have we done good? What could we do better? And what can I do to help you? And it's not a big private dinner with 25 people. It's really your top 5 people. And you could have it in your home, bring a private chef in, just treat them like that. And oh my gosh, y'all, it works so good. So that's what that is. Now the F-bomb, it's follow up. Really, guys? I mean, really. In the toilet, that's where your all minds are. It's follow-up bomb, and it says we need to make sure we stay in touch. So what is your F-bomb? It is sending out a success story. Then the next month, you're sending out your EU magazine. And then the next month is your quarterly. And then you send out another success story. Because remember, people do not care about what you say. They care what other people are saying about their experience with you when it comes to real estate loans, home warranties, whatever it is. So that's your F-bomb. That is your consistent series of staying in touch. You want to grow somebody from a champion into an ambassador, take that 7 series and put it in 7 weeks of people talking about how great you are. I mean, geez, you could leverage this with your testimonies over on Trulia or Zillow or any of those and then blast them everywhere. It's what people are saying about you that says everything about what the experience is like. So this is Michael's communication plan from drip to ambassador. So I'm hoping you guys feel good about this. I wanted to give you a quick sample, and one of the things that Kelly was great about sending you guys is a blank copy of my marketing plan. There we go. That's what it is. So let's take a look at this. And this is a month-by-month marketing plan that I looked at. Now, this is one of my old ones from my presentation. I map out every October what I'm going to do for the next year, right? So don't be all impressed, you guys, because most of this stuff I don't even create, right? So you need to be a master implementer. And part of being a master implementer is being a master swiper and adapter. You remember when I told you I haven't had an original thought since 1981 or 82, and that one got me in trouble big time in high school? I don't. I borrow from any place I can. So I buy a service called Loan Toolbox that's for lenders, and so I try to put as much as possible on automation. So you'll notice on here, you'll see my my U magazine every month going to everybody. Listen, all I need to do is input their contact information. They get assigned to that, and that goes out once a month without me doing a thing, right? It's super impressive looking. I'll show you a sample of it in a second, but I really don't do anything. I do my quarterly Homes and Money magazine. I can print it, I can email it. I'm a big conserver, so I do a lot of the emails. So that goes out automatically, right? I do some postcards. Again, wish I could say I created them. I used to spend a ton of time. I'd go read House Beautiful magazine, and I would read an article, and I would create my own postcards. Crazy. Not a best and high use of my time. So now I do semi-monthly postcards. So maybe it's around Valentine's Day. Maybe I do customize one around pool safety every single May. And I give CPR instructions updated. We do a happy 4th of July. We do the idea of doing an event for my ambassadors and champions, whether that is, the pumpkin patch idea. Maybe it is really kicking it up with your concierge form if you want to start having fun. Maybe I am a huge football fan. Like I already told you guys last week, my Bears are going to the Super Bowl this year. I can feel it. So if January/February comes, whenever the Super Bowl is, I would have a football party with all of my other ambassadors that were football fans. And if I invited those people and I still had room, I would then go to my champions that are football fans. Now, maybe you'll say you're a huge college basketball fan. Maybe you have a March Madness party for your ambassadors and your champions that are into basketball, right? I don't know if you know that we have this little thing, 2 little things in January, right? We have Barrett Jackson for all of our car friends. We have the Phoenix Open here for all of our golf crazy people. So make sure you could spend some time maybe at the Phoenix Open with your ambassadors that like golf. I mean, that's some quality time. And that was like a quick 2 minutes of just a ton of stuff you could do around what you like to do, right? Maybe you're a hiker. Maybe you do a hiking club and you do that a couple times a year is a great way to stay in touch with your ambassadors that are into it. Tie it into something that you love to do, and then it's not like work. So this is what it looks like. I sit down every October. I have my business planning time in October as well. So we look at our numbers and we look at our marketing plan, and I at least jot it down. So while you'll notice also that I have my calls in this schedule for me to stay in touch. So you can see my ambassadors, my champions are usually getting 3 to 4 things from me on average a month. Not crazy, but they're my best, and they've opted in for it. So it's not all spammy email, and it's not every week. Sometimes it's a phone call. So it's important to remember, give my best to my best. Awesome. So that's what your marketing plan looks like. Here's a blank one that you can sit there and just think about the things that you like to do, right? Back to school month. I love this idea. I had this brainstorming with an agent a couple weeks ago. They're doing a back to school supply drive in July, because there's a ton of kids that can't afford a backpack. There's a ton of kids that can't afford the school supplies from their family. So how cool would it be to coordinate a back to school supply drive and then do that around your ambassadors and your champions, right? There's nothing better than being a giver. It really isn't. So here's a sample form so you can fill in the blanks of your future. So right away, I want to give you a quick snapshot at looking at what the You magazine looks like. And what this is just a templated email that goes out that makes me look really skinny because that picture's long. Wow. Maybe that's what I'll look like at 120 pounds someday. Again.
Oh, I think you look exactly like that.
Oh, yeah. Were your eyes open or closed? Nice.
Receive the compliment, Sandy.
Thank you very much, Callie. Okay, so this is You magazine, and it's just an e-magazine that we send out via, obviously via email. I also can post it on social media, but it's just stuff that can happen around. So it's really important. Talk to the people that are your best affiliates. Find out what they have access to, and use it with the co-branding, right? Because we all want to follow RESPA, hands down, right? But if I can co-brand material for my best agents, I don't do this for just anybody, right? I'm not going to spend my money on just anybody. It's going to be for my ambassadors and my champions. But if you can get stuff through your affiliates that are co-branded, why not leverage that? That's crazy. Your picture could be where my team logo is, and it looks super slick. And it's super awesome. So get some kind of You magazine. There's stuff that you can do. Yes, you're going to spend a little bit of money, but remember, you're sending it to your best people, and it's your branding. It's what makes you stand out. So that's the You magazine. The next sample that I have for you is a Homes and Money. You can either do this via email or you could print it. Honestly, I have so many emails in my database now. I do it all via email. I make up for my best people that I don't print it. They get to hear me, we talk, and we meet for lunch. That's way better than a silly little newsletter that would go out in the mail. So this is the Homes and Money, because here's what we know. It's not just a house, it's your home, right? And there's two things that are so important to us. That's our house and our family. And so everything that we have in here is around that. Now, don't forget, you need to get personal. I love the idea of getting personal with your best people, and whether that's if you're my ambassador or my champion in November, you're going to be getting a slicked out postcard with my grandma's world famous stuffing that we put in the turkey. It's the best stuffing you're going to ever have. And you're going to see me making part of it. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I think of my grandma and my mom every single time I make it. In December, I'm going to send out something because for me, November, December, that's family, right? That's everything we do together with family. We're going to do our world famous chocolate chip cookies, and I'm delivering chocolate chip cookies to my best. Now, that doesn't freak me out, because I'm only giving it to my top 30 people. I'm not trying to make chocolate chip cookies for 300 people and become Betty Crocker, right? I'm doing it for my best people. Give my best to my best. So that's a newsletter you could do. Send out something for a postcard. And if, here's the challenge. Go to your mailbox for a week. And every postcard you get, do not stand over the garbage can like you normally do and just pitch it in the garbage can. I want you to take it, and I want you to set it to the side, and I want you to really see how many postcards you get to your home. Because years ago, postcards stood out. Now, not so much. So if you think that it does stand out, I would challenge you to go home, get your mailbox, and see how many you get. But this is a nice little, and this can be emailed, and this is what I love, right? I'm not about cutting down trees. I want to be green. I send out once a month some postcards via email so that they get them, and my branding is on there, right, no matter what the season is. So it's a great idea. Then make sure you have some kind of consistent marketing plan for your community. I'm an old ACT database person, so I call it an activity series. So make sure you have something written down, make it happen, to intentionally stay connected with your best. All right, so next we're going to talk about Michael's success story. And you guys can put the link in if you want to watch Michael tell you about it. I'm going to go over it super quick because it's one of the things in that F-bomb that you all got so excited about. That's part of what you need to do. Remember, it's way better for someone else to talk about you than for you to talk about yourself. So here is the 7 steps to a success story. The first step would be on the next slide. Step 1, what's the big idea? When's the last time that someone said something great about you? So this is what I know about you guys. You discount compliments all the time. Oh, right, I just did that, didn't I? Oops, as Callie's giving me that look, right? We discount the compliments all the time. I just want you to think about, you could probably go into your email from the last couple weeks and you had a client say how much they appreciated what you did for them, right? That's a success story. You just haven't formatted it. So let's think about, maybe you help somebody sell a house that they inherited, right? So here's one of the most stressful times in the life. They've lost a beloved family member. They've passed away. And you've got to help them liquidate their assets, with that asset being the house. So let's talk about the 7 steps to a success story. Step 1, what was the client's situation? Remember, be super duper specific, whether it was, the inherited home, maybe you helped a first-time home buyer, maybe you helped a mom and dad get connected with another real estate agent back in Illinois because they want to move here to be with grandbabies and their children, right? Be super specific about the problem or the challenge that people had. Now, right, first-time home buyers, there's a great example. They don't know anything. They think they know everything because they've been out on the World Wide Web, right? And they've talked to their friends and neighbors that had horrible experiences. But think about that, being a first-time home buyer. And then what would have happened if you weren't the one involved in the transaction? Could they go in and buy the first home that they looked at and not take into account what the utilities would be for their bills for the summer, and it might put them in a bad position? Could it be that they buy right next to a train track that they didn't even realize it was there? So many things could happen. I mean, we've all heard those horror stories for our first-time home buyers, right? So make sure it's talking about what could have happened bad. And just go to the water cooler at the office and go, hey, has anyone had a transaction fall apart lately? And they'll tell you about it. Now, how did you help them solve the problem? And the big thing is, how did you educate them? How did you make sure you had that conversation with, hey, we want to look at multiple properties. It's not just about the house itself. It's about where it's located. It's about where you have access to grocery stores and all the other amenities, right? Everything that you do that you discount and take for granted. And I can honestly tell you that not every single other agent out there cares that much. All right, that's step 3. Step 4, what was their result? Be specific. They bought a great home. That's a great investment in a cul-de-sac with a great floor plan in a neighborhood that has a great historic appreciation, right? That's a very specific result. And then step 5, what did the client say or do that let you know that you did a great job? And this is the testimonial part, right? And you get them all the time. I promise you, you'll go back to your emails, you go, holy moly, Sandy, how did you know I got that email 2 weeks ago? Because we all get them, and we just discount them going, oh, everyone must do as great a job as we do. Not, right? So go back to their testimonial and then ask for specific and relevant referrals. Who's a person you know that might be buying a first-time home just like you that I might be able to help? And then the call to action. Please reply to this email with a name and a phone number of somebody that might be in the same situation. I promise that I'll take great care of them just like I took great care of you. And that is the 7 steps to a success story. So what I want you to think about is, who are the clients that you've helped maybe over the last year, 2 years? Write down their names, and you can write a success story about them. And if you can't think of names, think about the situations that have happened that you can write a success story about. Remember, it's the first-time home buyer. It's the liquidation from an estate. Maybe you help somebody that was going through a divorce get rid of their property and go buy their own first place on their own, right? I mean, there's so many things that you guys do to serve people. You just need to start thinking about it and remembering it. So here is a great tip. And it's the best, easiest way about the DISC personality. So I want you to think about, how would your best friend describe you? Are you straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, cautiously and perfectly accurate? So I want you right now, as you're sitting in the room, and pretend like I can see you, and I'm going to see your facial expression. How would your best friend describe you? Now, I probably wouldn't be surprised to you that my best friends would describe me as straight to the point, right? Right? Although I like to go out and have fun too, so I hide behind a little bit of social and outgoing as well. So circle which one you think you are, and then put a square next to the one that your best friend would describe you. Now, hopefully they're the same thing, so you're being honest with yourself, but just in case. So Michael has this on his buyer and seller consultation as one of the questions that he asks every single client. You know, we're going to get to know each other really well during this process of selling your home. And I just want to know, I want you to know that I'm committed to making this the best experience possible for you. So I have a quick question for you. How would your best friend describe you? Straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautiously and perfectly accurate? Could you guys agree that it's important to know which disc personality your clients are? Because my people that are warm and fuzzy, if they come to sell to me warm and fuzzy, I am so D, straight to the point, that that's a complete turnoff to me, right? So I can't expect people to buy the way I am. They're going to buy the way they are. So if I'm sitting across from somebody that's cautiously and perfectly accurate, I better realize my D needs to get turned off, and I need to come with figures and charts and graphs and very detailed, specific information. And I need to ask questions and listen very carefully, right? It's huge to know this. It's the best cheat sheet. And then here's right. So your straight to the point is your D, your social and outgoing is your I, your steady and dependable is S, and your compliant is your cautiously and perfectly accurate. I gave you guys a link to everything about DISC. Michael has this great thing. I love this. Care like everyone's an S. Aww. Smile like everyone's an I. Prepare like everyone's a C. And sell like everyone's a D. Here's the secret. Sell the way the buyer buys, not just the way you sell, right? It's huge, like literally could be life-changing. How would your best friend describe you? It's a secret into their soul, and I'll bet you a shiny new penny that no one's ever asked them that before, right? Awesome. So there's your disc. So what I've given you guys is a quick sample of Michael Maher's Spectrum of Solutions. You've also gotten that in your email and uploaded. I think it's uploaded, right, Callie?
It's uploaded. It should be right there in front of their screen under handouts.
Oh, I've never done a webinar where they did that. That's so awesome. You're the best. So here's Michael Maher's Spectrum of Solutions. So what is it meant to be? It's supposed to be, I don't want to call it a brochure because it's not, right? It's supposed to be, hey, listen, this is some of the things that we find other people have found of value. Now, what I love is on the second side, you could put testimonials. And I love this because you absolutely have other people saying great things about you. But this is my little caveat, you guys. Just like us, don't be too wordy. I mean, I have clients that write paragraphs, right? How great it was in the experience. But if I had 8 paragraphs on the back of here, you guys wouldn't read it. So dwindle it down to a couple sentences for the testimonials, and then don't use their full names, just use their first name and last initial. And then you could do that. But this is some of your value props on why people use you, right? What's your differentiator? Why should people use you? And so this is Michael Maher, so you can feel to swipe and adapt it. If you like this a lot, this is another KW agent. I have this in a Word version. If you like it, shoot me an email, and I will absolutely send it to you. Awesome. So this is your spectrum of solutions. Now here's what that over wordy one looks like. I shouldn't say that because don't call them and tell them that I'm saying this. But nobody would read this, ever, ever, ever. do a couple quick sentences with a ... before, a ... after. You know, I mean, look at, couldn't be happier. Thanks so much, Robert, for being so awesome. Well, there you go. I mean, that's, you know, that's pretty great. When someone calls you awesome, well, it's hard to get much better than that. Right? Awesome. All right, so let's take a look. Last thing, one of the last things I want to talk about is your mind shift, right? If you're hesitating to call, it's because you're thinking about yourself. If you're thinking about helping the people you're calling and focusing on their needs, it's easier to pick up the phone. This is huge. I mean, this is like literally stop selling. Start connecting. Stop selling. Start connecting. Stop thinking about you. Start thinking about them, and realize every person you don't call could end up with somebody really bad, and they wouldn't be served as well. So do them a favor and call them. So what we want to talk about is an example of a mind shift. So say we had a hailstorm, and the next day I would clear my whole schedule and I would sit and call every single one of my ambassadors and as many of my champions as I could physically pick up in a day. Why? Because bad things happen during hailstorms. And you just got to say, you know, I was just thinking about you. I know we had that crazy weather yesterday. I wanted to make sure you were all good. And then be quiet and listen. Because when we had that bad hailstorm, I needed a roofer, I needed an air conditioning person, I needed a sunscreen repair shop, I needed a pool person. My neighbors across the street had busted windows from the hail. We had the siding, but the stucco on the side of the house, they had pits and needed repaired. Thank goodness our cars were inside, but if the car was outside, you know, think about it. When that kind of stuff happens, that's when you need to be on the phone saying, I just wanted to check up on you and make sure you were okay and see if you needed anything. You will blow minds of your ambassadors and your champions. And you get to help people, and there's nothing better in life than helping people. Okay, we are at the 1 hour mark. We're going to finish up strong and then be available for any questions that you might have. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is in the book. And this is recorded, so I got to watch how I say this. It's for you to realize is that when you're talking with maybe first-time home buyers, it's going to be crazy. They're going to find other first-time home buyers all around them. It's so funny. My son and I, who's now 16, we were driving. I have a Corvette. I love my Corvette. But we were driving, and, you know, he's beating me down wanting to drive it, but I haven't given in yet. So you're safe on the streets. But he's like, oh my gosh, Mom, there's another Corvette. Oh my gosh, Mom, there's another Corvette. It's crazy. My nephew, my brother-in-law just got a new car, and we started pointing out his cars because we had never noticed them before. So let's advance the slide. So this is your new car. You go buy it, right? We just got Kyle a Ford Focus. Sanderson Ford was great. We love them. You should go buy a car from them. They were awesome. So, but then the next very day, I look everywhere and I see a Ford Focus. It's like they're every other car on the road, right? That's called the reticular activating system. That's just like when you're a first-time home buyer or you're a move-up buyer or you're buying a second home, you start talking to people, and before you know it, everyone around you is a first-time home buyer. And so what we want to do is make sure you have an intentional conversation with your home buyers, letting them know that this is going to happen. And so on the next couple slides is Michael's script. So I'm going to whittle it down because I don't say it exactly how Michael says it, right? I gave it a spin of me. And it's just saying, hey, Susie, now that you're buying your first home, it's going to be like you have supersonic hearing X-ray vision around real estate. Every person you're going to be around, it's going to be like they know you've bought, right? You're going to know real estate, and you're going to end up finding all these other first-time homebuyers surrounding you. And I just wanted to let you know, when you do, I want you to let them know that I'm a safe harbor for them, right? And I promise to take care of them just as well as I took care of you. So if you hear them that they're interested in real estate, get their information and get their okay to share it with me, and I promise I will take just as great a care of them as I did of you. Would you do that for me, please? Right? So it's kind of his script, kind of a little bit of me, but it's just saying, listen, this is going to happen, so don't be afraid of it. Don't think I'm stalking you or that I'm in your head, right? It's going to happen. I just want you to be prepared for that. So the next thing that we talk about in the book is called the triangle of trust. And so what that is realizing is our community know a ton of other people. And you can leverage that triangle of trust of your community. And we talked about it a little bit. Remember, it was one of the first weeks, and I gave you the referral script. And it was when you're not sure what to call and talk about with your ambassadors and your champions, as you know, we're catching up on life, and you catch up on life and saying, Sandy, how often can I catch up on life? Every month, really? Well, if you get nervous about it, move to this triangle of trust script, saying, you know, hey, by the way, before we hang up, I've got a quick question for you. I'm really looking at growing my business. I know you know I do real estate, and I get people all the time asking for referrals to insert the name, divorce attorneys. And don't freak out, it's not for me, but I'm wondering, do you know any great divorce attorneys? And people say yes. And if they say yes, if you advance the slide, say, hey, 0, they're horrible, 10, they're rock stars. How would you rate them? And if they give you a rating of higher than 6, ask for the name and number of that person and ask them to do a warm referral. If they give you a low rating, keep track the fact that they don't know any good divorce attorneys. So once you get referred to one and connect with one, you know who to go back to and call and say, hey, just so you know, I know we talked about this. You might not ever need one, but you might have a friend that does. I found a great one. So if you ever do, please know, just call me and I'll get you their information. 2 things. Never give out the referral information without them needing it, because you want to be in control of the referrals. And then you could do a roofer, air conditioning, painter, plumber, all the things that you need around the house is who you need to use and leverage your triangle of trust for to build your community. So hopefully that makes sense, right? So that's your triangle of trust. So that's the entire script for you. So I know I talked really fast, but this is the script for you. You can screen capture and go from there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is just a quick tip on who you can get. Insurance agents, attorneys, estate attorney, divorce, CPA, financial planner. Fill in the blanks for the rest of the people that you can call to get referrals to. People like when you ask for help. So remember, you market to somebody, but you communicate with your friends, your clients. Start communicating, stop advertising. So the goal is to actually build that community that you stay in touch with. And you're going to do that through your database, your network, what I call my community. Right? So that's your community of influence. Next slide. So this is key. Never forget that it's people that buy. Nothing ever happens until a person says yes, and no one says yes to someone they don't trust. Trust is huge. So as we get ready to close up, remember, give your best to your best. That's your ambassadors and your champions. And you're going to make sure that you stay in touch with them through the success stories. Send it via email, print it in a postcard, put it on social media. Just get it out there. You should always, oh, here, I love this tip from Michael, right? Have you guys ever had an email misconstrued? Yeah. You should always do paperwork face-to-face when at all possible, like the real estate contract, and never just send it via email, because that would be bad. So I love this tip. I forgot I wanted to tell you, because email is meant to inform, confirm, or get people on the phone. Do not hide behind email. Okay, and as we close, if you say, Sandy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm drinking from the fire hose, holy camoli potato, right? This is what you need to do in the order. Get your database, your community in one place. Even if it's just the Excel spreadsheet that we sent out at week 1. grade your database. Start working on your guaranteed response emails. Don't get caught up if it's 5 a day is too many. Do 2 or 3. Practice your chosen one script. Give some generosity and gratitude through the handwritten notes. Get face-to-face. Get personal and have fun, because life is too short, right? It's your mindset, your minutes, your mentors, and your map. And we've covered that over the last 4 weeks, and it's gone by super fast for me. I don't know about you guys, but I can't believe it is an hour and 9 minutes since we started already. So we spend our time, our energy, our effort, and our money on people we actually like and trust. And just imagine your day spent that way, so you don't have to wait for a life-changing event to change your life. You will have the best business, and what is more exciting for me for you is you will have the best life. Because if your life isn't right, your business is not right. If your business isn't right, your life isn't right. So remember, the goal is to give referrals, and then you will automatically receive. So I want to just say thank you to the Arizona chapter of the Women's Council of Realtors. I also want to say thank you to the Arizona Association of Realtors for having me here, and a special thank you to Callie, because she's been a great little partner with me, sitting in front of a microphone, making sure not to get in my way as my hands are flailing with my Italian, Polish, German, Irish, French coming out of me. But one of the last things, if you have any questions, text me. There's my cell phone number, always the best way to get me. Email me. I promise I'll reply just as quickly as I can. But before we close up, I do want to give a quick shout out about the Renew event coming up. I can't believe it's tomorrow, Tuesday. First of all, I can't believe it's August 25th. And this is what I know. Can I tell you, August 25th is the birthday of a guy I dated in high school, and I am 51 years old, and I still remember that. That's crazy. Can't remember my grocery list, but I remembered that. So the Renew event is tomorrow, August 25th, and this is it, right? So it's not like every event, and I think that's what's important about it. It's about helping you in your business and saying it's a way for us to take a look at real estate, turn it a quarter of a turn, and look at the possibilities. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but in a lot of markets, it's a little competitive right now. I mean, I've got buyers writing, they're one of 8 contracts on certain price ranges in certain areas. And so one of the things that we're going to be talking about on the panel that I'm on is looking outside the box, right? So if you are a listing agent and you have a listing not selling, and you know why it's not selling, because people don't even want to walk into it, let alone get in, and it needs updating. How can we take that listing of yours and maybe leverage fixing it up either before it sells or after for a buyer, showing them the potential to get that listing sold? And then from the buyer's perspective, it's saying, why go where everyone else is going on the perfect listings to write the contract with 10 other people? Go to the houses that people might not want to buy and show the potential to your buyer, because honestly, most people are like me. I'm a numbers person. I walk into a house that's an ugly duckling and I go, ugly duckling. I don't look and go, oh, I could see this and I could see this kitchen and the bath. I don't do that. So that's part of what this is going to do tomorrow, is say, get outside of your box, get out of your own way, and look at some other things. And we're going to be talking social media, because accept it, it's here, it's part of life. It's why we're able to do this webinar. We couldn't have done this in the old days. So would totally encourage you guys to make sure you register, come. If you come, make sure you grab me and say hello. I would love to meet you face to face. I'll answer any questions that you have about the 4 weeks of greatness as well, or anything about the 7 levels of communication. So I am just so grateful for you. So if we have any last questions, we'll do a Q&A. Otherwise, Kelly's going to take control.
We do have one, something that Monica shared earlier that I think is a great kind of an eye-opener that's maybe a missed opportunity. And Sandy, if you would maybe expand on it. She said that she did a one-on-one with a fellow agent, and asked what the other agent's biggest challenge was. And the agent was shocked that she asked and cared.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, other than reaching out to our ambassadors, or what about the relationship with other agents?
I think that's huge. And I think it's huge for a couple different reasons. Number one, we as a country are starved for getting personal. We've gotten way too surface. And when other people know that you care and you're genuinely invested in them, that person could be a listing agent for Monica to have a buyer. And when you ask them what their biggest challenge is, listen to their problem and help them solve it, whose contract is going to get accepted? I don't know. It's why it says going from relationships to referrals, right? Plus, besides, it's great to be a giver, right? I mean, it really, really is, because imagine you doing that with them. They then take that and do that at their home. Or maybe they take that and do that with one of their partners or one of their ambassadors who owns a company. And I will guarantee you, and it blows from a lending standpoint, every time I do that with agents, what's your biggest challenge? And I don't throw up on them what I do, and I listen to their challenge and try to make it go away, the problem, it makes you stand out. It really does. And I love that she's doing that with another agent, right? Because it's the more people doing business good is the less bad reputation we have as an industry, right? And so I think it's awesome. Plus, then it exposes more people to generosity.
Well, thank you. And then just one quick question about the community events or the reach out events that you were talking about. Do your holiday parties and that you're inviting your ambassadors to, where are you hosting those at?
Sometimes I do them in my home. Sometimes I do them at the office. And then there's other times I would go and do it at like a happy hour. So if you have a location that has a really good happy hour and you'll book them in advance, first of all, they love that because you're exposing more people to their restaurants. Plus you're negotiating happy hour prices. They'll usually block off part of the room and let you have that. And then you could have a come and go and then I usually do like a 2-drink limit, and I'll do a little tickets, and I'll do the appetizers, and then after 2 drinks, they're on their own. But I'll do it at a restaurant as well.
Yeah. But again, you're not inviting 3,000 people.
No, I'm inviting my ambassadors and my champions, or someone that could prospectively be an ambassador or a champion.
And what a great opportunity for your ambassadors to talk about how awesome you are to other people.
Absolutely. It's about the handoff, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in the grand scheme of everything that you have shared, people look and they go, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. What would be the one thing that they could do to get started in implementing this program?
Get your database in one place. Get your community. But the whole idea of the wedding, if you're having a wedding and you didn't have to pay for it, who would you invite? And get all of those people in your database. That's the foundation. That's your one thing right now. So when you have that done, then you go to your next one thing, which would be grading.
So you really want to know who's who.
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of a broken record, and people tease me after they've come through the 4 weeks of greatness class that's face-to-face, is they hear me in their head saying, give my best to my best. And that's the philosophy where you have enough time to do that, right? Because there's fewer people, and you have enough money because there's fewer people that you're actually spending your money on because they're the right people.
I can see a whole marketing opportunity to have those rubber bracelets that say give your best to your best.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
And Sandy's phone number on the other side.
There we go. Wait, hold on, I gotta write that down. Seriously.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. The handouts, the 5 handouts are under handouts. It should be on your screen. Feel free to download those. And of course, Trisha Lehan will be following up with an email later this afternoon, so please look for an email for her. If you have any ideas or questions about today's webinar, please reach out to Trisha or Sandy. and they'd be happy to answer your questions for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much to everyone, and especially to Sandy for joining WCR and the last 4 weeks of these 7 levels of communication, 4 weeks of greatness.
Woo-hoo!
Thank you so much. Sandy, any closing remarks?
Honestly, have some fun. Get back to having some fun and quit selling.
It's all about the people.
Yeah.
And we
That's
have
it.
got some great people in our industry.
We absolutely do. And you're a lighthouse to home buyers and home sellers out here. So be a lighthouse to them.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today.